Role-playing. Let's talk about it. You know that thing you do in a tabletop role-playing game or a TTRPG? What does it mean to role-play in a tabletop role-playing game? Well, you have to get into character. And then you're going to speak as if you were the character. And then you're going to decide actions that character would take based on what you think that character would actually do. Not just like a video game where you instinctively say what the character would do as if you're playing some strategy video game. No, you try to perceive the world, through the eyes and mind of your character. And that mind, that's something that you're developing as you play the character. You're going to have some idea of who the character is, so you can get right into the role play with some idea of who they are. But that's going to develop through actually, getting into the game and doing things. Well, how would it develop? Well, it could be you answering a question. What would the character do? Or how do they respond to the question a non-player character has asked them? Well, that answer, that reply, or how they deal with that situation in the world will tell you what they might do in other situations. What they, might already say no to and yes to, just off assumptions you can make from the answer they gave or the reaction that they offered up. A tabletop role-playing game is a mind game. So, how do we play the game in the mind? We do it through our imagination. And you're going to be using that when you try to perceive, the world as it's described to you through your character's eyes. You got to remember, it's your character there. How shocked would they be if this happened, or if this, thing came around the corner that was some giant? Would they jump back? And are you actually focused on the game that way? Is your imagination running as you're hearing description? As a player, it is your job to be running your imagination the entire time. That is part of role-playing. You don't just wait to be inspired by the game master, or the dungeon master, whatever title they have. It's really on you to be using the imagination to play the game. And that imagination will let you see the world, and hopefully you're trying to see it again through your character's eyes, and then through their mind. How do they think of things? How do they perceive things? Be true to the character. Always consider this as you're role-playing. If you have not done this before, some of this can seem really tedious. But once you've done it a few times, you'll start doing most of it instinctively. You won't have to feel the tediousness later on. But if you're new to the process of really trying to perceive the game through the character and not just through your own eyes and your own mind and your own imagination, what I mean is your own imagination is how are you seeing the world described to you? No, it's how is the character perceiving the world. That is what's important. You're role-playing a character. You're not role-playing yourself. When you go to play any tabletop role-playing game, you really have to know your character's options going into the game as well. So you know what you're doing when you're role-playing. In case they have something unique. If they can use magic, maybe they can do something common people can't. You want to know that, you want to remember it. Beyond that, don't let common sense situations that you should be able to easily deal with get in the way or slow down the game. What do I mean? Say the game master explains, or describes a fence to you. A fence that you know from description your character can jump over, and you want your character to jump over that fence. You don't need to stop and ask the game master, hey, can my character jump over the fence? No, just state out loud, my character is going to go over, hop over the fence, and keep moving. In reality, when you're asking a question where the answer should be obvious, even to you, look at it like it's a bad habit, one you want to rid yourself of. Get after yourself if you fail and ask silly questions. Put a reminder at the top of your character sheet or something in front of you to, hey, watch what you're doing, don't ask stupid questions. If you've already done it once or twice, put a reminder there. Like you're only human, right? Once you start artificially pushing yourself in the right direction, it will become a good habit. And you'll more instinctively not do such things. And that means the game goes faster and smoother. More time is spent in role play. And that plays to immersion. And what do I mean? I'm not talking about just the general term immersion, But like, think about being immersed into the session in the way you would be immersed, say, into a movie. You're really enjoying it, like the outside world. You're really, if somebody said your name, you might not hear it. They'd have to come over and poke you because you're focused on the game and you're having a good time. That type of immersion, right? Inside of your mind, inside of the imagination, focused. Having as much smooth gameplay as possible and not doing anything that is dragging you out of that mindset and making you think about things outside of that. Those silly questions can lead to you not really into what you're doing. Like focused away from the character, not being in character, and that means you're really not role-playing. And the longer you stay outside of that immersion, sometimes it can be hard just to jump right back in. Right? And what you want is to be immersed the majority of the time. Like if you can the entire session, you want to be immersed the entire session. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't ask a question. Look, if you're honestly confused, ask. Don't be that strict with yourself, right? Put your best foot forward. Don't carelessly ask. If you're really confused about something, clear up the confusion. All anybody wants at the table is for you to try to roleplay and have a good time. And that's really all we're looking for, is to all have a good time together. And there's a bit of an effort I need from you and you need from me that we have to give each other to have that experience together. And if you're not putting the energy into at least trying this stuff, trying to roleplay, trying to enjoy the roleplay, and not just, folding if it's hard or if you find it challenging to think of certain things, no. Don't give up. And I would tell you, if you've tried to role play, you have a hard time, you back away from it, here's what's happening, because role play is truly easy. If you're having a hard time, I promise you, give it 2 or 3 sessions instead of, folding up, and the tedious, hard part starts going away, and things start happening naturally. Like, the tedious feeling goes away, and you can start enjoying role play. And if you've had a bad experience with roleplay, I promise you, look, I know, trip over, look a little stupid, be okay with it. Put your ego away just for a moment if you've been, hiding in the corner trying to play with your miniature most of the time. Like, I want you to roleplay. Put your best foot forward and don't be afraid of looking like a fool for maybe a session, right? It will be fun in the long run and you won't regret it. Okay, for now, take care. You know what you can do? You can hit the like button. You can share the video. Oh, and there's another button you can press. That one that lets you subscribe to my channel for more content. Oh yeah, there's that bell thing. You can press that so you know when I've uploaded a new video right away.